Piers,
Yeah.
do you know that Israel sold Iran weapons in the 1980s under the Ayatollah Khomeini? I want to
Yep.
stop there for a second. In fact, some of the weapons that Hezbollah has used against Israeli forces, Haaretz, Israeli newspaper has reported, were likely sold to Iran by Israel, not under the Shah, under
I
Ayatollah
think there is
Khomeini.
probably shocking hypocrisy on arms sales from all
No, it's
countries.
because the point is that Israel did not.
Peter, just answer my point. Do you
Yes.
dispute that Iran has been very instrumental in funding terror groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis against Israel? Would you dispute that?
Absolutely, they have funded those groups against Israel, but it doesn't
Okay,
mean they
then we're in
pose
agreement.
but it doesn't mean they pose an existential threat. Iran also endorsed the Arab Peace Initiative in 2002, in which it said it would recognize Israel's existence if Israel allowed a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza, and there was an agreement on refugee return. Yes, Iran, for its own cynical reasons, uses the Palestinian cause and others to try to gain influence in the Middle East. That is not the same as saying it's an existential threat to a country that has nuclear weapons on submarines, has a massive nuclear deterrent, and is massively more powerful than them. And the point I was making about the 1980s, and then I'll stop, is the reason Israel wasn't afraid of Iran in the 1980s, in fact, sold them weapons, was at that point they saw Iraq as the greater threat. It was only when Iraq became weaker that they turned to saying Iran is the existential threat. And mark my words, if Iran is destroyed by this war, we will have people like our guests here coming on a year from now and saying it's Turkey, and Turkey needs to be attacked, because there will always be some country that's willing to support the Palestinian cause, maybe for their own reasons, and Israel will declare that country an existential threat, whether it is or not.